The blood on Songhan's hands was still warm when he walked into Harmony and Seoul through the back entrance. Not his blood, never his blood. He'd left two Yakuza enforcers bleeding out in a warehouse 15 minutes ago. Their throats slit so cleanly they barely had time to register surprise before their eyes glazed over. 3 of his men were dead this week. Someone in this restaurant was selling him out. He stripped off his black tactical gloves, shoved them into the incinerator behind the dumpster, and watched them burn. The ghost of Gangnam, they called him in Seoul. The man who could kill you and disappear before your body hit the ground. But tonight, he wasn't a ghost. Tonight, he was Min Jun, a timid North Korean defector who scrubbed dishes and kept his head down. His hands were still shaking from the adrenaline when he pushed through the kitchen door. Steam, shouting in 3 languages. The clang of pans. He moved to the dish pit, pulling on the stained apron, becoming invisible again. Then she walked in. Zara Wells. Box braids swinging, gold cuffs catching the light. Moving through his kitchen like she owned it instead of served in it. The waitress he'd been investigating for 2 weeks. Bank statements clean. Background clean. Too clean. She was either innocent or the best operative he'd ever seen. She walked straight to him, targeted, deliberate, and set down a plate of kimchi fried chicken he hadn't ordered. Her eyes locked on his, and for a moment, Songhan's instinct screamed, "She knows." His hand drifted toward the ceramic knife, hidden in his waistband. Then she spoke 5 words that made his blood run cold. "I know who you are." The kitchen noise faded. His finger touched the knife handle. She was 2 feet away. He could have her on the ground in 3 seconds, unconscious in 5, dead in 7 if necessary. Every exit route mapped in his mind. Every witness calculated. She reached into her apron. Songhan's muscles coiled, ready to strike. She pulled out a cracked porcelain plate and held it up with a smile that didn't match the bomb she'd just dropped. "You're the one who keeps breaking my grandmother's good plates. These are expensive, Min Jun." His hand froze on the knife. She didn't know. She had no idea the man standing in front of her had just committed a double homicide. That he owned this building, this business, this entire block. That he'd killed 27 people with his bare hands and ordered the deaths of hundreds more. She thought he was a clumsy refugee who broke dishes. "Welcome to the family," she said, setting the food down. "You look like you need a good meal." She walked away, and Songhan exhaled for the first time in 60 seconds. In 20 years of blood and shadows, no one had ever welcomed him to a family. And in that moment, the most dangerous man in Atlanta realized something terrifying. He wanted her to keep not knowing, because for the first time in his life, someone saw him and smiled instead of trembling in fear. And that made her the most dangerous person in the room. 24 hours before he became a dishwasher, Songhan stood in his penthouse above Atlanta's skyline and watched a man beg for his life. "Please, boss, I didn't know." The knife was cold in Songhan's hand. Efficient. Final. The man crumpled, and his lieutenants dragged the body away without being asked. They knew the routine. Everyone knew the routine in the ghost's domain. He visited his father's grave that night, as he always did after blood was spilled. The marble headstone gleamed under the security lights. "I'm losing control, a BOG," he whispered in Korean. 3 men dead. A traitor in our house. But I'll find them. I promise. The stone offered no comfort. It never did. Across the city, Zara Wells was awake too, but for different reasons. Her grandmother's medication wouldn't refill until Friday, and it was only Tuesday. She flipped through her recipe notebooks, dreams scribbled in margins, fusion concepts that would never happen, because tuition was due and she was $3,000 short. "Baby, come to bed," her grandmother called, voice foggy with early dementia. "You work too hard. Just a little longer, Gigi." Zara forced brightness into her tone. Her grandmother didn't need to know they were 3 months behind on rent, that the eviction notice was hidden under the coffee pot, that Zara was her family's only hope, and hope was wearing thin. By dawn, Songhan had become someone else entirely. Min Jun hunched his shoulders as he entered Harmony and Seoul through the back door. Fake refugee papers in his pocket. North Korean defector story memorized, tragic enough that people wouldn't ask questions. His mission was simple. Identify the traitor, eliminate them, disappear. The kitchen chaos hit him immediately. Orders backed up. Mr. Cho screaming at someone. And there, Zara, moving triple speed because the manager had just fired another server for talking back. Songhan was supposed to observe, stay invisible, but the dinner rush was collapsing, and if the restaurant failed, his cover died with it. He stepped in. Plates moved through his hands with surgical precision. Orders flowed. Chaos organized itself around him like he was conducting an orchestra instead of washing dishes. Zara noticed. Of course she noticed. "Where'd you learn to work like that?" she asked during a brief lull, suspicion and curiosity mixing in her eyes. His prepared lie came smooth as silk. "My mother's restaurant in Seoul. I grew up in the kitchen." She studied him for a beat too long, then smiled. "Soul to soul food. We'll make it work, Minjun." The words landed heavier than they should have, like a promise neither of them meant to make. The shift ended near midnight. Songhan was cataloging details, Mr. Cho's 3 unexplained phone calls, the coded conversation with a supplier who wasn't in their system, the way the manager watched him with calculating eyes. Then Zara approached, exhaustion softening her edges. "You knew David, right? The last dishwasher." Her voice carried hope and grief in equal measure. Songhan had found David's body 2 weeks ago. Throat cut, dumped in the river with weights. "No," he lied. "I just started. He disappeared 3 months ago. Just gone. Mr. Cho said he quit, but David would have told me. We were friends." Her hands twisted the bar towel. "I keep thinking something bad happened." Something bad did happen. And Songhan needed to find out why before she asked the wrong person the wrong question. "I'm sorry about your friend," he said, meaning it despite himself. She looked at him then, really looked, and for a dangerous moment, he forgot to maintain his posture. Forgot to be timid. Refugee Minjun instead of lethal Songhan. "Stay after closing," she asked. "I'll teach you our cornbread recipe. You can show me that kimchi prep technique. Fair trade." Every instinct screamed to refuse. Getting close to a potential suspect was tactically insane. "I'd like that," he heard himself say. 2 hours later, flour dusted both their hands as she guided his fingers through her grandmother's recipe. He showed her how to julienne cabbage for kimchi with the precision of someone who'd held far deadlier blades. She laughed when he got the measurements wrong. Teased him about his fancy knife skills for a dishwasher. Told him about her culinary school dreams, her grandmother's failing memory, the weight of carrying her family's hopes. She was either the best actor he'd ever met or the most genuine person. Either way, she was dangerous. He left that night cataloging 2 things: Mr. Cho's connection to the Yakuza and the exact way Zara's smile made something in his chest crack like those expensive plates. The next morning, Songhan's lieutenant was found in the restaurant dumpster. The message carved into his chest was in Korean: "The ghost can bleed." Zara discovered the body when she came in early to prep. Her screams brought everyone running. Mr. Cho, the line cooks, Minjun the dishwasher who somehow arrived 30 seconds faster than should have been possible. She was shaking, coffee-skinned face gone ashen, when Minjun wrapped a blanket around her shoulders. His hands were steady, gentle, nothing like the hands that had killed a man 24 hours ago. "Don't look," he murmured, positioning himself between her and the body. "Just breathe. I've got you." And for the first time in 20 years of blood and empire, Songhan felt something more dangerous than rage. He felt protective. The police came and went, paid off as always. But Zara wouldn't stop shaking, wouldn't let go of his arm. "This is my fault," she whispered. "I asked about David. Someone heard me asking. Oh God, what if? This isn't your fault." The command in his voice slipped through before he could soften it. "You're safe. I promise." She looked up at him with those knowing eyes, and Songhan realized his mistake too late. A frightened refugee wouldn't make promises like that. Wouldn't sound that certain. Wouldn't position himself like a bodyguard instead of a co-worker. "Who are you really?" she asked, voice barely above a whisper. His hand moved toward the knife in his apron. Instinct, muscle memory, survival. Then her phone rang. Her grandmother. Crisis averted. But as she walked away to answer it, Songhan's racing heart told him the truth he'd been denying. His feelings were becoming real. Authentic love was growing from dishonest roots. And in his world, that kind of vulnerability got people killed. The late-night kitchen session started innocently enough. My grandmother used to say food is how you make hostile territory feel like home, Zara said, teaching him to make cornbread at 2 a.m. During Jim Crow, she ran a safe house, fed everyone who came through, black folks fleeing north, white allies who'd lose everything if anyone knew. She said breaking bread together was the only treaty that ever lasted. Songhan's hand stilled in the dough. That's brave. Dangerous. She said the dangerous part was staying silent. Zara looked at him. What about your mother's restaurant in Seoul? The lie came easier now, worn smooth by repetition. But tonight, exhausted and off guard, truth bled through. I was never allowed to be young. My father had expectations. The restaurant wasn't about food. It was about control. That part was real. The restaurant part was fiction, but the loneliness in his voice, that was bone-deep truth. Their hands reached for the same knife. Contact. Electric. Frightening. Neither pulled away immediately. Min-jun, she started. I should go, he said, retreating into lies because the truth would kill her. But he came back the next night. And the next. He learned she was drowning. 3 jobs. Bakery at 4 a.m., restaurant until midnight, culinary classes squeezed between, tuition overdue, her grandmother needing memory care that cost $6,000 monthly. The state facility had restraints and bruises and given up hope. He found her asleep standing up in the walk-in cooler, still holding a case of lettuce. She woke to his jacket around her shoulders. I'm fine, she insisted, pride like armor. Just resting my eyes. When did you last sleep more than 4 hours? Sleep is for people who don't have dreams to chase. But her voice cracked on the word dreams. Songhan wanted to fix it. Wire transfer. Done. But Min-jun, the refugee, couldn't afford rent, much less tuition. So he made a call. Anonymous scholarship. Untraceable. When Zara got the notice, she stared at it for 10 minutes straight. This doesn't make sense. I didn't apply for this. Maybe someone saw your work. Recognized your talent. The lie tasted like ash. Her eyes narrowed. You know something. I know you deserve good things. Is that a crime? She wanted to push, he could see it. But desperation won. If you hear anything about who did this, tell me. I need to thank them. You can't thank me, he thought. Because thanking me means knowing me. And knowing me means dying. His surveillance of Mr. Cho was bearing poisonous fruit. Ledgers showing Yakuza payments. The restaurant as a meeting point for territory negotiations. Worse, Mr. Cho had sold information about Songhan's shipments, safe houses, protection routes. Another of his men died. This one had kids, 2 daughters, 8 and 5. Songhan attended the funeral from a distance, watching the widow collapse, the children confused why daddy wouldn't wake up. He'd ordered men to their deaths before, but he'd never watched their children cry. Then Mr. Cho crossed a line that made everything else irrelevant. Songhan was reviewing surveillance footage when he saw it. Mr. Cho cornering Zara in the supply room, blocking the exit. His hand on the wall beside her head. Too close. Predatory. You keep refusing my offers, Zara. That's unwise. I'm not interested in your offers, Mr. Cho. Her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. Then maybe you're interested in keeping your job. Your grandmother needs expensive care, doesn't she? Would be a shame if. Songhan was moving before conscious thought finished. Out of the restaurant. Into his car. Following Mr. Cho's route home. The parking garage was empty. Perfect. You don't remember me, do you? Songhan said. Face covered, voice altered. Mr. Cho turned, hand reaching for something. Songhan broke his wrist before the gun cleared the holster. Touch her again, and I'll remove your hands. Methodical. Precise. 3 ribs cracked. Speak to her with disrespect again, and I'll remove your tongue. Look at her the wrong way. He left Mr. Cho conscious. Barely. Message sent. But messages travel both ways. The next morning, Zara noticed immediately. Your knuckles. What happened? Slipped with a knife. Caught myself badly. She took his hand, examining the bruising that was clearly not from any kitchen accident. Min-jun, don't lie to me. I'm not. Everyone lies in this place. David lied about being fine before he disappeared. Mr. Cho lies about everything. I need one person to be honest with me. Can you be that person? No, he couldn't. But he wanted to be so badly it physically hurt. I got into a fight, defending someone's honor. I'm sorry I lied. Close enough to truth. Not close enough to safe. She held his hand longer than necessary. Thank you for defending whoever it was. If she only knew. That night, they made her grandmother's gumbo with Korean doenjang. The fusion should have been wrong. Louisiana and Seoul shouldn't work together. But it did. Like them. Wrong on paper, perfect in practice. Taste this, she said, lifting the spoon to his lips. He tasted. Rich. Complex. Almost there. It needs something, he said. What? She leaned in, and the answer was suddenly obvious. This. She kissed him. It was supposed to be playful, a joke about ingredients and chemistry. But the moment their lips met, playful incinerated into desperate. His hand in her hair, her fingers gripping his shirt, both of them gasping when they finally broke apart. That was... She started, breathing hard. A mistake? He was afraid to hope. Afraid to want. Afraid of what wanting would cost. No, the opposite. She touched his face, thumb tracing his jaw. That's what scares me. I don't do this. Don't fall for coworkers. Don't trust easily. Don't let people in. But you, I want to let you in. And I don't even know if Minjun is your real name. Every word was a blade between his ribs. It's real, he lied. Because what else could he do? Tell her the truth? Watch her run. Watch her die when his enemies found out she mattered? She kissed him again, softer this time. Tender, like a promise. And Songhan, the ghost of Gangnam, killer of dozens, breaker of men, felt something he hadn't felt since childhood. Hope. It was the most dangerous thing he'd ever carried. Across town, Mr. Cho made a phone call to his Yakuza contact. Someone's protecting the girl. Find out who. And when you do, kill them both. The full moon celebration was supposed to be Zara's triumph. She'd spent 3 weeks perfecting the menu. Kalbi barbecue glazed with her grandmother's peach preserves, kimchi mac and cheese that made food bloggers weep, bulgogi greens that tasted like heritage, and hope. The restaurant was packed. Critics, investors, people who could change her life with a single review. This is it, she whispered to Minjun in the kitchen, eyes bright. This is everything I've dreamed about. Songhan wanted to tell her to run, because while she prepped food with joy, he was prepping for war. The intercepted message had been clear, full moon. And the ghost. Confirmation code, Oleander. His security team was positioned throughout the restaurant. Fake critics, false waiters, armed guests. He turned her celebration into a battlefield, and she had no idea. But then she found the blood. His jacket, hanging in the prep area. Still wet. Too much to be from any kitchen accident. Minjun. Her voice carried a question that could unravel everything. What is this? I cut myself. Earlier. It's nothing. The lie sat between them like a third person. That night, she followed him. Watched from shadows as he met a man in an alley, his lieutenant. Watched Minjun's posture change, shoulders squaring, voice dropping into command. Fluent Korean. Authority that made grown men bow. The full moon dinner is a trap, he said in Korean. Cho knows. Position teams at every exit. No civilians die. That's an order. Zara's world tilted. She ran home, searched frantically. North Korean defectors Atlanta. Nothing. Minjun restaurant worker. Nothing. Her grandmother found her at 3 a.m. Laptop glowing. Baby, what's wrong? Gigi, what if someone you loved was lying about everything? Would the love still be real? Her grandmother's eyes cleared, one of her sharp moments. That man carrying death around like a winter coat? He's lying about who he is, but how he looks at you. That's the only true thing about him. Question is, can you love someone who won't stop lying? The full moon dinner began at 8. Zara moved through the dining room, presenting each dish, telling fusion stories. But her eyes kept finding Minjun in the kitchen, seeing him differently now. The way he moved, calculated, tactical. The way he watched exits. The the way his hands never strayed far from the knife block. Mr. Cho was sweating through his shirt, phone vibrating constantly. Zara saw him slip into the back kitchen, watched him add something to the special gumbo, her grandmother's recipe, the one meant for the VIP table. She moved closer, smelled it. Bitter almonds, oleander. Her grandmother's voice echoed. Slave owners used oleander to poison wells. Smells sweet. Kills certain. The VIP table, where Min Jun would sit, where she'd serve him personally. Mr. Cho was trying to kill him. Time fractured. Zara carried the bowls out, hands shaking. Approached the VIP table. Set down the first bowl in front of Min Jun. Then switched it at the last second, poisoned bowl to Mr. Cho's seat. Mr. Cho saw. His face went white, then purple. You stupid. He lunged, grabbed Zara. Knife materialized at her throat. The dining room erupted. Yakuza agents dropped their disguises, guns appearing like magic. You just signed your death warrant. Mr. Cho screamed, dragging her backward into the kitchen. You want to die for a man you don't even know. But Zara was watching Min Jun transform. The hunch disappeared. Posture straightened. His voice dropped an octave, cold, commanding, lethal. Positions, he barked in Korean. Civilians out. Secure the perimeter. Men in waiter uniforms pulled weapons. The restaurant became a war zone. Tables flipping, civilians screaming, glass shattering. And Min Jun, gentle, poetry-quoting Min Jun, moved through the chaos like death itself. Disarmed a Yakuza operative with a broken wrist. Dropped another with an elbow strike that made bones crack audibly. Fought with brutal, professional efficiency that couldn't be faked or learned from a mother's restaurant. Finally, Mr. Cho pressed the knife harder, drawing blood. The great ghost of Gangnam shows emotion. But it's too late, brother. Brother? I'm your half-brother. Same father, different mother. He gave you the empire, gave me nothing. So I gave the Yakuza everything, your routes, your safe houses, your men. They're dead by morning. Your empire is ash. And her. She was my masterpiece. Making you care. Making you weak. Zara's mind reeled. Ghost of Gangnam. Empire. Brother. Every word rewrote her reality. Songhan moved. Sacrificed his shoulder to Mr. Cho's blade. Brutal calculation. Got close. Disarmed him. Drove a kitchen knife into his half-brother's chest in one fluid motion. Mr. Cho crumpled, blood spreading. You kill everything you touch. She'll see that now. He died at Zara's feet. Sirens wailed in the distance, but never arrived. Songhan's team secured the scene. Evacuated witnesses. Made violence disappear like it never happened. Zara stood in pooled blood, shaking. Songhan approached, hands up, weaponless. Zara, I can explain. She slapped him so hard his head snapped sideways. Who are you? Her voice broke. Tell me the truth. Right now. Or I swear to God. My name is Songhan. They call me the ghost of Gangnam. I own this restaurant. I own half of Atlanta. And I've killed 27 people with my own hands. The truth hung between them like a blade. The man you knew, Min Jun, was he ever real? Songhan met her eyes. He was the truest version of me I've ever been. Zara's laugh was broken glass. I fell in love with a lie. You fell in love with the man I wanted to be. She backed away, blood-soaked, trembling. Stay away from me. Don't call. Don't follow. Don't. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered without thinking. Hello, Ms. Wells. A voice like silk over razors. Japanese accent. This is Tanaka. The Yakuza appreciate your interference tonight. So we're going to give you a choice. Deliver Songhan to us in 48 hours, or we deliver your grandmother to you. In pieces. Starting with her fingers. The line went dead. Zara looked at Songhan. Killer. Liar. The only person who could save her grandmother. They took Gigi, she whispered. And just like that, hate became irrelevant. The police called it a robbery gone wrong. Paid-off cops took statements, filed reports that would disappear by morning. Zara played along, numb with shock, answering questions in a voice that didn't sound like hers. Then Songhan drove her home. The silence lasted 3 blocks. Then she exploded. How many? Her voice cracked like breaking ice. How many people have you killed? Don't lie to me, not anymore. His hands tightened on the wheel. 27. With my own hands. The orders I'd given? Hundreds. The number hit her like a physical blow. Why? Just why? I inherited my father's empire at 19. He was murdered during a peace negotiation, throat slit in front of me. I had two choices. Prove I was more ruthless than him, or die. Blood debts, oaths, men whose families depend on the organization. It's not a job you quit. You could have walked away. He pulled over violently, turned to face her. No. In my world, you leave in a coffin or as a traitor. And traitors' families pay the price. They don't just kill you. They kill everyone you've ever loved. Your mother, your sister, your children. That's the code. Then you chose this. You chose to be a monster. I chose to survive. There's a difference. Zara's tears came hot and furious. Was any of it real? The poetry, the late night talks about dreams we'd never have. The way you held me like I was something precious. Was any of it actually you? Songhan's mask cracked. I suspected you at first. Investigated you. Ran background checks. Watched you for 3 weeks before I ever spoke to you. But somewhere between your grandmother's gumbo and the way you laugh when you burn something, I stopped pretending. The feelings were real, Zara. The only real thing I've had in 20 years. You investigated me? Her voice pitched higher. I told you things I've never told anyone. My father leaving. My fears about failing. How I'm terrified I'll end up alone like my mother. I let you in. And you were lying the whole time, cataloging my weaknesses. Not about what matters. Everything matters when it's built on lies. She reached for the door handle. I need you to leave me alone. Space. Time. I can't breathe around you. He wanted to argue, to beg, to keep her in this car where she was safe. Instead, the Yakuza know you're connected to me now. You're not safe. Her laugh was broken glass. I was never safe. Not from the moment you walked into my life. He wrote a number on paper, pressed it into her hand. If you're in danger, call this. Someone will come. She threw it out the window the moment he drove away. But she'd memorized the number. 3 days of silence. Zara couldn't go to the police. They were his. Couldn't tell her grandmother. The stress would kill her. She went to her culinary school professor instead. A woman who'd survived 2 divorces and a restaurant bankruptcy. What do you do when you discover someone you love is a monster? Professor Chin studied her over reading glasses. Are they a monster, or did they do monstrous things? There's a difference. Is there? That's for you to decide. But ask yourself, did they choose monstrosity, or did monstrosity choose them? And more importantly, can they choose differently now? Zara had no answer. Across town, Songhan sat in his father's study, staring at a childhood photo. Him at 7, his father's hand on his shoulder. And in the background, barely visible, a younger boy looking in. Mr. Cho, the half-brother he'd never acknowledged, never protected, never loved. I kill everything I touch, he whispered to the empty room. Then he called his lieutenant. Double security on Zara and her grandmother. 24/7. They don't see you, but you watch everything. If anyone gets within 50 feet, I want to know. Boss, maybe you should let her go. For her sake. I am letting her go. That's why I need to know she's safe. He transferred the restaurant deed to her name that night. Legal. Irrevocable. His one clean thing. Given to the only person who'd ever made him want to be clean. He didn't tell her. Just filed the paperwork and cried for the first time since his father's funeral. The deed arrived by courier a week later. Zara stared at the legal documents, hands shaking. Then she was moving, into her car, driving to the address printed on the letterhead. A penthouse in Buckhead, 43rd floor. Security that parted for her like she belonged. She pounded on his door until he answered. I don't want your guilt money. She shoved the papers at his chest. Take it back. It's not guilt. His voice was tired, defeated. It's the only thing I've ever built that wasn't soaked in blood. I want you to have something clean. You don't get to buy forgiveness. I'm not buying anything. He met her eyes. I'm giving you the choice I never had. to walk away and build something your own way. Keep it. Sell it. Burn it down. Your choice, Zara. Not mine. Yours. She tried to give it back. Called lawyers. Discovered it was legally irrevocable. She was trapped with his gift. His apology. His love wrapped in legal documents she couldn't refuse. I hate you, she whispered. I know. He looked like he was dying. But you're free now. That's all that matters. She left without another word. 2 days later, she came home from class to find her apartment door open. Inside, furniture overturned, her grandmother's medical alert bracelet on the floor, and a note in elegant Japanese calligraphy. You have 48 hours. Deliver the ghost to the warehouse on Marietta Street, or we deliver your grandmother to you. Starting with her fingers. Come alone. Tell no one. We're watching. Zara's phone was in her hand before conscious thought finished. The number she'd memorized. The number she swore she'd never use. He answered on the first ring. They took Gigi. Her voice broke on her grandmother's name. The Yakuza took her. I have 48 hours to deliver you, or they'll... Oh God, they'll. I'm coming. Stay where you are. Lock the doors. Don't open them for anyone but me. Songhan, she hated how his real name felt in her mouth. Hated how much she needed him. If I give you to them, they'll let her go. That's the deal. Your life for hers. Silence. Then that's what we'll do. What? You'll deliver me to them. Exactly as they asked. Are you insane? They'll kill you. His laugh was dark. Zara, I've been dead since I was 19. Your grandmother is alive. That math is simple. I won't. Yes, you will. Because she raised you, and I'm just the man who lied to you. The choice is easy. It's not easy. She was crying now. You think I want you to die? You think I could live with that? You'll live. That's all I need. The line went dead. Zara sank to the floor, surrounded by wreckage, holding a phone that felt like a weapon. 48 hours until she had to choose. The man she hated for lying, or the grandmother who raised her on truth. Her phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. Tick-tock, Ms. Wells. We're counting. Songhan's war room looked like Hell's command center. Maps covered every surface. Red pins marking Yakuza territories. Black pins where his men had died. His lieutenants moved with military precision. Phones pressed to ears, coordinating sweeps across Atlanta. Zara stood in the corner, watching the ghost of Gangnam orchestrate war. They'd captured a Yakuza scout an hour ago. Songhan interrogated him personally. Methodical, efficient, terrifying. Broke fingers one at a time until the man screamed locations. This was the monster Mr. Cho warned her about. But when Songhan got the information, 3 possible warehouses, his hands shook. Not from violence, from fear. Fear for her grandmother. We can raid all 3 simultaneously, his lieutenant reported. But if we're wrong, they'll kill her before we breach. Zara watched Songhan calculate odds like he was solving an equation. Her grandmother's life reduced to probability and tactics. And suddenly she understood. Even if they saved Gigi today, tomorrow would bring another threat. Another kidnapping. Another choice between violence and losing everyone she loved. This cycle would never end. I'm going to trade you, she said. The room went silent. No. Songhan's voice was absolute. Absolutely not. Listen to me. They want you. If I show up without you, they kill Gigi as a message. If you show up without me agreeing, they kill her out of spite. But if I bring you willingly, they'll want to gloat. Villains always do. That's our window. You're describing a suicide mission. I'm describing negotiation. She met his eyes. You've spent your whole life taking territory through force. What if there was another way? What way? Trust me. The way you wanted me to trust you. The words landed like a blade between ribs. Songhan's team mobilized. Snipers on rooftops. Breach teams in access tunnels. Medical on standby. But they followed Zara's insane plan. She walks in first, seemingly alone. She raided her culinary school's chemistry lab. Ghost pepper extract became pepper spray. Dry ice and hot water became smoke bombs. Sodium chloride and sugar, improvised flashbangs. Even stole meat thermometers. Everything was a weapon if you were desperate enough. Professor Chin helped without asking questions. I don't know what you're doing, but you're fighting for family. That's always right. Zara's last stop was her grandmother's apartment. The journals were there, decades of recipes. But they weren't just recipes. They were coded. Safe house locations, sympathizer networks, survival lessons from running an underground railroad during Jim Crow. One entry made her stop breathing. When facing the devil, offer him dinner. A man eating is a man listening. A man listening might become a man thinking. Food is the treaty that precedes peace. Zara formulated her plan. The warehouse on Marietta Street was a graveyard of rusted shipping containers and broken dreams. Zara and Songhan arrived in a plain car. No backup visible. She was shaking, genuine terror. He was preternaturally calm. If this goes wrong, she started. It won't. He took her hand. I trust you. 3 words. They meant everything. Inside, cavernous space, dim lighting, Yakuza members everywhere. Her grandmother was tied to a chair, bruised, bloodied, but alive and defiant. Their eyes met across the warehouse. Gigi mouthed, "Run, baby." Tanaka sat on a throne made of pallets, flanked by tattooed lieutenants. Older, scarred, traditional Irizumi covering his arms, dragons and phoenixes locked in eternal combat. The ghost of Gangnam. His voice was silk over razors. "You're smaller than I expected." Songhan said nothing. "And you brought your whore to watch you die." How poetic. Before anyone could move, Zara stepped forward with a wrapped bundle. "By the codes of your ancestors, I invoke right of Omitanashi, sacred hospitality. Before blood, you must hear my offering." Tanaka laughed, genuine surprise. "You dare invoke our traditions? I dare invoke every tradition. Korean, Japanese, African American. Because that's what I am, someone who knows all 3. And I know a wise leader listens before he acts." She unwrapped the bundle. A perfect meal. Korean japchae, Japanese miso, southern collard greens, prepared with the care of someone who understood that food was diplomacy. "I made this for you. By your codes. You must taste it before killing anyone. That's the old way. The honorable way." Tanaka's eyes narrowed. "You're either very brave or very stupid. I'm someone who understands empires aren't built on bodies. They're built on trade routes. You want his territory. He wants to keep it. But there's a third option. Partnership." She proposed it. The restaurant becomes neutral ground. Conflicts resolved through negotiation. Both territories intact, but legitimate profits shared. My grandmother survived Jim Crow by making her kitchen safe ground. It worked for 50 years. It can work now. Tanaka took the food, tasted it slowly. His expression revealed nothing. "Then, this is excellent. You have your grandmother's skill." Zara's heart soared. "But skill doesn't change reality. The ghost killed 37 of my men. Blood debt demands blood payment." He set down the plate. "Your clever plan dies with him." He signaled. Guns raised. Zara's world fractured. She'd gambled everything on honor. It wasn't enough. Tanaka stood. "Execute him." Guns rose in perfect synchronization. Execution formation. Then Zara's phone timer screamed. "What's that?" Tanaka's hand went up, halting the firing squad. Zara smiled through her terror. "That's the dry ice reaching critical temperature in the ventilation system you didn't know I sabotaged." The warehouse exploded into white chaos. Smoke bombs she'd planted earlier erupted like volcanic fury. Visibility dropped to absolute 0. Gunfire erupted blindly. Men shouting in 3 languages. Complete pandemonium. Songhan's breach teams poured through pre-positioned entry points. Ceiling, floor panels, side doors. Military precision meeting criminal chaos. But the Yakuza were ready. Too ready. Crossfire turned the warehouse into a kill box. Muzzle flashes and smoke. Bodies dropping. Zara ran toward her grandmother's last position. Kitchen knife extended like a lifeline. "Gigi. Here, baby." Her grandmother's voice cut through chaos. Zara found her, sawed through zip ties with shaking hands. "Can you walk?" "Baby. I ran from worse than this in 1963. Let's go." Across the warehouse, a Yakuza lieutenant emerged from smoke, gun trained on Zara's back. Songhan saw it. calculated distance, made his choice. He threw himself between them. The bullet caught him center mass. He went down hard, blood spreading across his chest like spilled wine. No, Zara's scream tore through gunfire. She dropped beside him, hands pressing his wound. No, 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 stay with me. Blood pulsed between her fingers. Too much. Too fast. Get your grandmother out. His voice was fading. Leave me. Not a chance. Fury replaced fear. We both leave, or neither of us do. Something in Zara shattered, or maybe crystallized. All her fear converted to pure rage. A Yakuza member rushed through smoke. She drove her kitchen knife into his thigh. Not fatal, but he went down screaming. Grabbed his dropped gun. Used the meat thermometer on another attacker's eye. Fought with desperate, creative violence. She wasn't trained, but she was a woman protecting everything she loved. Her grandmother appeared beside her, swinging her cane like a baseball bat. Connected with a Yakuza knee. Sickening crack. That's for putting your hands on my grandbaby. The smoke began clearing. Tanaka stood over them, gun trained on Songhan's head. His men surrounded them, a dozen guns, no escape. Songhan was barely conscious, held up by Zara's blood-soaked hands. You fought well, girl. Tanaka's voice carried genuine respect. Warrior spirit. Work for me. I'll spare him, give you power, teach you our ways. Stay with him and you both die. Songhan's eyes found Zara's. Take it. Live. She looked at the man she'd hated 3 days ago. Bleeding because he'd saved her. Dying because she dragged him into this. Then at her grandmother, freed because he'd trusted her insane plan. She made her choice. Zara stood, covered in Songhan's blood, her own cuts, grandmother's hand gripping hers for support. She faced Tanaka and every Yakuza member. You call yourselves honorable. Invoke old ways, codes, traditions. But what's honorable about killing a man protecting the woman he loves? Her voice rang with righteous fury. What's traditional about destroying someone trying to change? He's a criminal, Tanaka said simply. So are you. So is everyone here except my grandmother and me. The difference is, he's trying to build something new. And I'm offering you the same chance. She pulled out folded legal documents, prepared beforehand, blood spattered now. This restaurant deed is in my name, a civilian's name, untouchable legally. I'm offering you equal partnership. Legitimate money, protected by law, 0 prison risk. All you have to do is put down the gun and pick up a fork. Silence, long suffocating. Tanaka looked at his men, saw several nodding, interested. Looked at the food Zara had made, still sitting on the pallet throne. Looked at this bleeding woman, unbowed, offering treaty instead of begging for mercy. You shame me with your bravery, he said finally. If I kill you now, my men see a coward who murdered an unarmed woman invoking sacred hospitality. If I kill him, I prove I fear his transformation. He lowered his gun. I accept your proposal, but peace is fragile. One betrayal, and I burn your restaurant down with everyone inside. Zara's legs nearly gave out. Then we all better keep our word. The medical facility was underground, secret, where criminals went when hospitals asked too many questions. Songhan flatlined twice during surgery. Both times, Zara refused to let go of his hand. You don't get to die. You promised to trust me. So trust that I need you alive. Second time, his heart restarted. The surgeon, a woman who'd seen everything, said he's stable. Barely. The next 48 hours will tell. Zara stayed. Didn't eat. Didn't sleep. Just held his hand and waited. Her grandmother watched from the doorway. You love him that much? I love what he's trying to become. Zara's voice broke. And I love him enough to help him get there. If he survives, baby, he survived worse than a bullet. He survived 20 years of being dead inside. You brought him back to life. That's harder to kill. 3 days later, Songhan opened his eyes. Zara was asleep in the chair beside him, hands still gripping his, dried blood under her fingernails. He tried to speak. Failed. Tried again. You stayed. She woke instantly. You're an idiot. Taking a bullet like that. Couldn't let you get shot. Bad for our partnership. She laughed through tears. kissed his forehead. We have a restaurant to run, and a peace to keep, so you better heal fast. Zara. His hand tightened on hers. I'm sorry. For everything. The lies. The danger dragging you into. Shut up. She kissed him, gentle, careful of his injuries, but fierce with promise. You can spend the rest of your life making it up to me, starting with being honest. About everything. Everything, he agreed. A week later, Zara's phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. Hello, Ms. Wells. Tanaka's voice. Our partnership begins tomorrow night. Dinner meeting. Bring the ghost. We have territory to discuss. The line went dead. Zara looked at Songhan, still healing, still dangerous, still hers. Ready to change the world, she asked. He took her hand. With you? I'd burn it down and rebuild it. Good. She smiled, because that's exactly what we're about to do. But neither of them saw the figure watching from across the street. Another player. Another threat. The game was just beginning. 3 months after the bullet, Songhan could finally breathe without pain shooting through his chest. Zara visited daily, brought food, checked his stitches, but maintained careful distance, close enough to care, far enough to stay safe from feeling too much. Tell me something true, she said one afternoon, watching him struggle through physical therapy. Not Minjun's truth. Yours. So he did. His father's throat slit during a peace negotiation, blood spraying across teenage Songhan's face. Inheriting an empire at 19, or dying with his father. The first man he killed, self-defense, but it changed something fundamental. 20 years of absolute power and absolute loneliness. I don't expect forgiveness, he finished, exhausted. I just want you to know the truth. All of it. What do you want, Songhan? Her eyes held his. Not your father's legacy. Not your organization's needs. What do you want? Long pause. Then, I want to wake up without checking for assassins. I want to cook with you. I want to build things instead of destroying them. I want peace. Then let's build it. Zara went back to culinary school. Everything was different now. Her food had changed, deeper, darker, more complex. Flavors that spoke of survival and transformation. Professor Chen tasted her final project, a fusion dish representing her journey. Tragedy has seasoned you. This tastes like someone who's lived. She graduated top of her class. Thesis, fusion as diplomacy. How food bridges impossible worlds. Her grandmother attended graduation, one of her clear days. Pulled Zara aside afterward. Baby, love ain't never enough by itself. But what you build with love. That's everything. That night, Zara went to Songhan's penthouse with a business proposal. Literally typed out, professional, terrifying. I'm giving us a chance, she said. But not in your world. Not in mine. We built something new. She wanted to reopen harmony and Soul as genuinely neutral ground. Her as owner, legitimately run. Him as silent partner. You want redemption? Earn it. Not through violence, but through building something that helps people. My world won't let me leave completely. There are debts, owes. Then change your world. You're the boss, aren't you? Or were you lying about that, too? His laugh surprised them both. First genuine one in months. You're terrifying. You know that. I learned from the scariest person I know. She meant him, but also herself. The transformation took 6 months. Messy. Dangerous. Songhan restructured his organization. Out of drugs, weapons, prostitution. Into property development, security consulting, legitimate import, export. Some men rebelled. He handled them firmly. Severance packages, job training, second chances. 2 refused. 2 assassination attempts. He survived both. My father built this on blood, he told his most loyal lieutenant. I'm transforming it into something that lasts beyond me. That's real legacy. Harmony and Soul reopened with a new mission. Job training for at-risk youth. Profit sharing with employees. Community dinners where rival groups ate together or didn't eat at all. The menu told their story. Trust fall tacos. Redemption risotto. Neutral ground gumbo. Second chance soup. 6 months later, grand reopening. The restaurant glowed with warm light. Multilingual signs made jokes about fusion. Photos of staff and their families covered the walls. A family built by choice, not blood. Press everywhere. The fusion restaurant that's saving lives. Former gang members worked alongside culinary students. Zara's grandmother taught her recipes to everyone who'd listen. Even Tanaka attended, kept his word, slowly transitioning his operations toward legitimacy. During the celebration, Songhan took the microphone. He hated public speaking, but love made cowards brave and the brave terrified. He thanked everyone in Korean, Japanese, then English. 6 months ago, I believed power came from fear. Then I met someone who taught me real power is building something worth protecting. He found Zara in the crowd. The sea of people parted. You asked me once what I dreamed about. I lied. I never dreamed. Never thought I was allowed to. He approached her, and the restaurant held its breath. But now I dream about waking up next to you. About teaching our kids both languages. About growing old in a world where we're not hiding who we are. He knelt, the ghost of Gangnam, killer of dozens, kneeling before a woman who'd saved him with gumbo and audacity. Zara, I can't promise I'll never mess up. Can't erase my past. But I promise to spend every day building a future where love isn't weakness, it's the foundation. Marry me? The restaurant froze. Zara made him wait. Stand up. Partners face each other as equals. He stood, hope and terror warring on his face. She took his hands. You keep transforming your empire into something we can be proud of. I keep building this restaurant into our legacy. We don't hide, not from the world, not from each other. Deal. Deal. She kissed him. The restaurant exploded in cheers. Her grandmother shouted, about time. I already bought my dress. Tanaka raised his glass to peace, and to the woman brave enough to demand it. The celebration lasted until dawn. Joy, music, hope made tangible. Then Zara's phone buzzed. Unknown number. Again. She stepped outside to answer. Hello. Congratulations on your engagement, Ms. Wells. The voice was female. American. Cold. I'm Agent Sarah Chen, FBI Organized Crime Division. We've been watching your restaurant, watching the ghost, and we have questions about your partnership with known criminals. Zara's blood ran cold. I don't know what you're... Save it. You brokered peace between rival gangs. Impressive, but it's still conspiracy. We're coming for both of you. Enjoy your engagement. It might be the last freedom you have. The line went dead. Zara looked through the window at Songhan, laughing with her grandmother, finally at peace. She had to tell him, had to warn him. But first she had one question. Could love survive when the law itself became the enemy? So here's my question for you. Would you risk everything, your safety, your heart, your entire world, for a love that started with lies but became the truest thing you've ever known? Zara and Songhan did. They chose each other when logic screamed to run. They built something beautiful from blood and broken trust. But their story isn't over. The FBI is watching. Old enemies are waiting. And sometimes the hardest battles aren't against gangs or bullets. They're against the parts of yourself you thought you buried forever. If you stay with them through every dangerous kiss, every impossible choice, every moment where love and survival collided, don't let their story end here. Hit that subscribe button, because next time we're diving into what happens when the law becomes the enemy, when peace costs more than war ever did, and when two people who rebuilt themselves have to decide. Do you protect what you've built or burn it all down to stay together? Their next chapter drops soon. And trust me, you don't want to miss what happens when Zara gets that phone call. Subscribe, because some love stories are worth fighting for. And it's just getting started.